What is conservative libertarianism? Conservative libertarianism, sometimes referred to as libertarian conservatism, is a political philosophy that combines principles of both conservatism and libertarianism. This ideology advocates for a political system that maximizes economic freedom and minimizes government regulation, often promoting a small government model. Economically, it aligns closely with laissez-faire capitalism and classical liberal ideals, advocating for free market capitalism with minimal government intervention. At the same time, it emphasizes traditional social values such as respect for authority, moral duty, and personal responsibility, setting it apart from other libertarian ideologies that prioritize social liberalism. As primarily an American ideology, conservative libertarianism has developed within the Republican Party and conservative circles, particularly influenced by figures such as Frank Meyer, who coined the term fusionism in the 1950s. Fusionism aimed to merge libertarian economic principles with conservative social values, arguing that both ideologies could mutually reinforce each other by emphasizing individual freedom and moral order. Meyer's vision has had lasting impacts, helping shape a wing within American conservatism that appeals to those who value both economic freedom and traditional cultural norms. Conservative libertarianism differentiates itself from mainstream conservatism by its strong opposition to government intervention in both economic and social spheres. While conservative ideologies often endorse government authority to uphold moral and social order, conservative libertarians argue that government overreach erodes individual freedoms and personal responsibility. For example, conservative libertarians are generally against laws that regulate private behavior, arguing instead for personal autonomy and self-regulation. They oppose state-driven social engineering and are wary of policies that interfere with market dynamics, believing that individual choice and responsibility lead to a more prosperous and moral society. Historically, this philosophy has seen notable advocates and critics. In the 1970s, Ronald Reagan famously appealed to conservative libertarians, declaring that the very heart and soul of conservatism is libertarianism. However, some, like libertarian leader Ron Paul, grew disillusioned with Reagan's administration, criticizing its increase in federal spending and budget deficits, which Paul felt betrayed conservative principles of fiscal discipline. Similarly, the economist Murray Rothbard, who was an influential libertarian thinker, voiced opposition to Reagan's policies, arguing that they contradicted the ideals of a free market economy and contributed to rising national debt. Conservative libertarianism is also unique for its stance on privatization and economic deregulation. Many conservative libertarians advocate for privatizing services traditionally managed by the state, such as airports, toll roads, and even social services, believing that private enterprise is more efficient and effective than government bureaucracies. This economic approach often finds roots in Austrian school economics. Conservative libertarians often oppose labor unions and collective bargaining, viewing them as impediments to free market operations. While conservative libertarianism champions economic freedom, it also maintains a socially conservative outlook, which has at times led to complex ideological debates. For instance, figures like Hans Hermann Hoppe advocate for the rights of property owners to exclude groups they consider undesirable, a stance that has sparked controversy within the broader libertarian community. Some conservative libertarians argue for restrictive immigration policies, viewing open borders as a potential threat to social stability and economic freedom. These positions contrast with the more culturally liberal aspects of libertarianism, and some critics argue that they reveal tensions between the libertarian and conservative components of this philosophy. In recent decades, conservative libertarianism has continued to influence American political discourse. Figures like Edward Feser have argued that libertarianism can coexist with traditional conservative values, advocating for personal freedom in private matters but also supporting the moral structures of society, such as marriage and religious institutions. This perspective maintains that traditional morality and social institutions can coexist with a minimal state, allowing individuals to live freely while adhering to personal codes of conduct. Conservative libertarianism thus represents a unique blend of economic liberalism and social conservatism, emphasizing limited government, free markets, and personal responsibility. This ideology has had a significant impact on American political thought, offering a framework that prioritizes individual liberty while preserving traditional social values. Although it encounters internal conflicts, particularly on social and immigration issues, its commitment to economic freedom and moral order continues to resonate within certain circles of the conservative and libertarian movements.